Hi, Rob. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for taking the time out of your busy day to have me on.
Yeah, beautiful. And thank you for honoring the invite. It means a whole lot. Thank you. And Rob, I am quite excited to have you on the show for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. Ever since I realized that ignorant in the Hebrew could also mean darkness, and knowledge in the Hebrew meant or means light. I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So the second reason why I'm excited to have Rob on the show is for the sake of the audience now, my listeners. I believe there are some things that Rob knows that some of my listeners needs to hear you say these stuff, directly from your mouth in order for them to experience transformation. I firmly believe that. Sorry. And lastly, that is me. I am convinced that I am definitely going to learn one or two things from your story, your insights, and your experiences. So for that reason, Rob, let us get started with your introduction, the journey, how the journey has been so far, how you got here. And afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Rob, over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, it really started back with my background being in strength and conditioning. You can think of a strength and conditioning specialist almost like a personal fitness trainer, but specifically for high level athletes. And when you go down that route for a profession, you typically go in the collegiate setting with schools and universities, or you find yourself in the private sector. And I found myself in the private sector and enjoying that in the beginning because that gave me the taste of entrepreneurship. That allowed me the control and freedom of my schedule. So I could work as little or as much as I wanted. And at first, that was a great freedom and great blessing to have. But as I continued to work and grow, I quickly scaled up my book of clients to the point where I was working 10 to 12-hour days, 7 days a week for almost 3 years straight. Not taking time off for holidays, missing crucial events with friends, and missing out on a lot of important experiences with loved ones that I'm never going to be able to experience again. And it wasn't until one holiday weekend, it was a Friday night where everybody was out traveling and I was frantically sitting home by myself trying to look through my phone to figure out if there's any clients that were available to train over the weekend. And after getting rejection after rejection for training, that denied me the distraction of what my life had actually became because of all those opportunities and things that were happening around me, and because I built a job for myself where I couldn't escape it. And not having that distraction of a full schedule during the weekend, that allowed time for reflection on what was actually happening. And in that time period, I realized that I had changed so much, not just with my social setting with my friends and family and such, but my body. It's supposed to be the epitome of health as a strength and conditioning specialist, but I was out of shape. I had low energy, no motivation, and all I cared about was working. And it dawned on me because it was a year and a half after my dad had passed away and I had buried myself with more and more work. But I realized that I needed to change something. I needed to rebuild my resiliency. I needed to start acting more intentionally. I needed to get clear on what I was doing as a coach and as a human. I needed to optimize and I needed to change. And that's where the beginning of my prime performance coaching really started. It was that moment there when I decided I needed to stop living this cushy, comfortable lifestyle. And I needed to start challenging myself with consistent, deliberate obstacles so that I could push my comfort zone and expand and grow as an individual and as a coach for my clients.
Beautiful. That point in time where you realized that you needed to change how you're living. And you see, what you just said now, it's a very important stuff because there is someone who I've got to share this podcast with once it gets live, because that person needs to listen to you speak. The person also is so choked up with working, and would not even create time for attending special meetings like that. And so I think where that victory came from was the point in time when you realized that you do not want to continue to live like that. Where you say you needed to be intentional, you need to know and make everything clear. What is it you want to do? And that's very inspiring, I tell you, Rob. I like that because not many people, you see, what you realized and cause that caused change now, some folks are still struggling with it and they don't just know how to change that situation. But people like that now getting to listen to Rob speak, I bet they would have a change of mind and that realization will occur to them. Do you believe that too? Because I believe that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so shall we get started with the questions?
Sure.
Okay. Now, let's say someone asks you, "Hey Rob, how do I unlock my full potential?" What would your response be?
My response would be that it's going to take a little bit of work, and it's going to take some reflection, and it's going to take a little bit of time. And it really depends on you as the individual or you as the listener, where you're currently at in terms of your potential, and where you stand in these different principles that I live my life by. And depending on which areas you need help leveling up in, really dictates what is going to help you level up to that next level in your potential. For many people, it's physical, emotional, and mental weakness, and you build that by building the strength and the resiliency by challenging yourself through both physical and mental challenges. I like to use the analogy of a diamond, and I teach the resilience matrix, where across the x-axis or the horizontal axis is the pressure, and the vertical axis is the heat. Because in order to shine like a diamond, you need both pressure and immense amounts of heat. So shining some of that reflection and awareness on you currently, where do you stand in terms of challenges, both physically and mentally or cognitively? And then from there, you've got yourself plotted, and you can work yourself towards that diamond so you can shine like the diamond. You do that by introducing different modes of physical activity, whether it's going to the gym, going on walks, or trying new sports. But at the same time, also taking on new hobbies, learning new skills, maybe practicing new languages, because that mix of that physical activity and that cognitive learning is what makes you shine like a diamond in that resilience component. And that's only one side of it, but other people also tend to be held back from certain mindsets or lack of social skills or social agility. They tend to think that, oh, I can do this myself. I don't need anybody's help. And they shy away from coaches or mentors. They don't have anybody necessarily to lean on when they need that support. And then they're surrounding themselves with a wrong kind of crowd. And they don't realize, but sometimes that could be the limiting factor. So bringing awareness to what I call the team triangle. Who are your coaches that you learn from? Who are your captains that you lean on? And who's the crowd that you surround yourself with? And then from there, it's developing one-on-one communication skills. It could be developing one-to-many communication skills, but that's just another aspect. So it really depends on the individual and where they're currently at, because there's a couple different things to work on, but it comes down to that awareness and figuring out where you're at and what principle do you need to focus on yourself.
I got that. What principle? Principle. Okay, that's gonna lead me to ask another question. Okay.
Sure.
Um, can you talk to us about the principles to elevate one's life and business? I think you have about 6 of them.
Yes, yeah. In my coaching program, it's essentially I help people look good, feel good, and do great things. Because as entrepreneurs, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create more of an impact. We're trying to leave the world a better place. So if you were to take those 3 points, it says look good, feel good, and do great things, and you break them down, 2 principles per phase. In the beginning, it's all about that developing that resilience. So physically, mentally, emotionally, toughness. You do that through challenges. Then you have the intentional consumption, because what you eat and what you consume dictates your energy and your motivation and your drive. So that's more, though, than just your meals and your nutrition. That's also your media, the books, the music you listen to, all that types of things that are inputs into your body that dictates how you show up and with what energy. Together, that resiliency and that intentional consumption, that helps you look good. Now you're looking good, and then you can finally start to feel good. So how do you feel good, you might ask? It's all about knowing who you are, where you're at, and where do you want to get to. Understanding your values, your lifestyle traits, your aspirations, and your strength opportunities. Because once you know your authentic self, you can define the possibilities that you can achieve. And once you know where you're going, it's time to get into principle number 4, which is all about optimization of your rules and your routines. So what are the habits that you do every day? What's your schedule look like? Is it optimized for efficiency, or is it deterring you from achieving the goals that you want to? Because once you're looking good and now you're feeling good because you know who you are, where you're going, and you're taking the right steps, it's finally time to do great things. And in order to do great things, you need to surround yourself with great people. So we go back to that team triangle. We look at your coaches, we look at your captains, and we look at your crew or your crowd you hang out with, and work on your communication skills, because being socially agile is a necessity, as not only as humans, but like entrepreneurs and everything too, being able to communicate your message, whatever it may be. And then finally, from that principle number 5 of communication and support, we get into creating your own luck, which is principle number 6. And for me, luck is just an equation. It's when preparation meets opportunity. So if you do those first 5 principles of building resilience, intentionally consuming, knowing who you are with clarity, and acting optimally with your actions, and you support yourself and others, now the doors of opportunity can start to open. And you do that by showing up as a genuine human, really caring about other individuals, and finding ways to give back and be a better person.
Amazing. I mentioned earlier, I said, I believe that I am definitely going to learn one or two things from you. And Rob, that is happening already. You've been saying some amazing stuff. All right, you mentioned intentional consuming. Can you talk to us about the power of intentional consumption?
Yeah, of course. Because remember, I was saying how what you consume is going to dictate your energy and how you show up and how motivated you are. But you need to take it a step further. Because everyone knows you need to eat right, you need to reduce the amount of junk food that you might have, but you can't cut it out totally. My background, like I said earlier, is in strength and conditioning with nutrition as my background. But I'm also someone who loves to eat good foods. For example, I just placed second place in a donut eating competition like a month ago. So like I like to have fun. I like to eat sushi. I like to eat a lot of different things. Yeah, donuts. I've placed first place in a meatball eating competition. I finished a spicy noodle challenge and hot dogs and stuff like that. So I like to have fun with it. But the idea is that it's intentional. If I'm going out and if I'm having pizza every single day, that might not be intentional. Then I'm just kind of on repeat mode, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And I like to use the analogy because it's meals and your media. So what else you're consuming? So making sure your food is right and aligned with your goals, so it keeps you energized and efficient. But then also that media too. So what are you watching on TV? What kind of books are you listening to? What kind of podcasts are you listening to? Because that is kind of like the windshield to your life. You could be driving down the road or riding your bike, and you get dirt and bugs that pop up onto your windshield. And that's kind of like the social media doom scrolling or watching a good movie or entertainment. It's good, but you can't keep it all there all the time, because then that clogs your vision, and deters you from your goal. So what you need to do is you need to use your wipers and your washer fluid to wash your windshield so you can see clearly and you can get back on track to your goal. But at the same time, that washer fluid and those wipers, that's kind of like the educational and the motivational content. So like the YouTube videos that inspire you, or the courses that you take, or the educational books, that's good, and that helps clear that view because it washes away the dirt, the bugs, and the doom scrolling. But at the same time, too much of that can slow down your progress as well. Just like if you're driving down the road and you get caught in a really terrible rainstorm, you have to slow down your speed, put on your hazard lights, and you have to proceed at a cautious rate. That's slowing you down from getting to your goal. So it's about that intentionality of, why am I watching this? Why am I eating this? Is it aligned with who I am, and is it helping me move forward? Because when you have that awareness and intentionality, now everything becomes purposeful and you can direct yourself towards your goals a lot easier.
Powerful words. I got that. Beautiful,
Thank you.
beautiful. Okay, so last question. All right. Um, how can one create luck and seize opportunities?
Yeah, like as I was mentioning earlier, luck is just that preparation meets opportunity. So as long as you're challenging yourself, you're intentionally consuming, you're clear on who you are and where you're going, and you're acting optimally, and you've got a good support system around you, that's the preparation that you need. Now it's time to find those opportunities. So where do you find yourself aligned with? How can you give back to the world? Who else do you need to connect with? Where do you need to show up as a better person? It might be dedicating a little bit of time, might be providing value to people on different workshops, showing up to people's events, staying late to events, showing up early to things, just getting around more people and putting yourself out there, opening yourself up so that opportunity can come to you. As long as you got all that other preparation work done, opportunity is bound to be attracted to you when you open up those doors and really connect with other individuals.
Got that. Got that. Okay. So, Rob has been saying some powerful words since he started talking, you know, insightful conversation, I tell you. So to bring this to an end, Rob, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those ones who would like to reach out to you, learn more about what you do, maybe you said some things that resonated with them and they'd like to learn more. How can that be possible?
Sure, sure. The final thing that I would want everyone to leave with, though, would be I highly encourage everyone to develop some sort of reflection practice if they don't already have one, whether that's meditation or journaling. Give yourself the opportunity to bring more awareness into your life with whatever kind of aspect of life that you're looking to improve on. Because once you know where you're at, then you can game plan to move yourself forward. And then it's just about taking that action to getting to where you need to go. But it starts with knowing where you're at and what you've gone through. So it could be a day-to-day kind of practice, or even once a month kind of thing, just making sure that you're checking in with yourself internally and everything you have going on, whether that's business or personal life. And if anybody's interested in connecting and listening to more about what I have, easiest place to find me is on social media. It's just Rob Tracz on pretty much every platform. And if anyone's encouraged or interested in learning how they can take that awareness to the next level, I invite anyone to visit survivingthesidehustle.com/assessment. It's a quick, easy tool that I run for myself multiple times a year, doing it different stages, different seasons in my life, because it shows me where I am with those 6 principles. It shows me which ones are a little bit higher priority at that time and which ones am I neglecting. And if you tend to see the same areas that need more improvement, that might be an indicator that it's time to address some of those things, whether that's your intentional consumption, or maybe looking for ways to optimize and make your life a little more efficiency, whatever it might be. But there is a tool that brings that awareness to you, so then you don't need to necessarily sit and think so hard. You can just answer a few questions and the results are given to you.
Beautiful. So, listeners, over to you. Ensure you visit that website. As you can see, Rob's got some amazing stuffs. Thank you so very much. So, that's going to be the end of the show, Rob. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing those powerful words with us. It means a whole lot, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.